The arrival. The violet sky of Nexus Prime stretched endlessly above the bustling spaceport. Ships of various sizes and designs darted through the atmosphere, their hulls gleaming in the light of the planet's twin suns. Among the sea of alien vessels, a small human transport ship stood out like a sore thumb. As the boarding ramp lowered with a hiss, a solitary figure emerged. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, Earth's latest contribution to the galactic peacekeeping force, stepped onto alien soil for the first time. Her dark eyes scanned the horizon, taking in the strange architecture and diverse alien life forms scurrying about their business. Sarah's hand instinctively brushed against the hilt of her plasma pistol, a habit ingrained from years of training. She knew she stood out. Humans were still a rarity in this part of the galaxy. The stares and whispers from nearby aliens only confirmed her suspicions. A gruff voice cut through the cacophony of the spaceport. "You there, human, over here." Sarah turned to see a bulky, four-armed alien waving at her. His skin was a mottled green, and a series of bony ridges ran along his skull. She recognized the species from her briefings, a Chronon, known for their strength and military prowess. "Lieutenant Chen reporting for duty, sir," Sarah said, snapping to attention. The Chronon's four eyes blinked in rapid succession. "At ease, rookie. I'm Commander Zrak. Welcome to the 47th Interspecies Rapid Response Unit. Hope you're ready for some action, because we don't coddle newbies here." Sarah nodded, her face a mask of determination. "I'm prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead, Commander." Drak let out a rumbling laugh. "We'll see about that. Follow me to the barracks. Your new squad is waiting to meet you." As they walked through the sprawling military complex, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the advanced technology surrounding her. Hover vehicles zipped by, carrying cargo and personnel. Holographic displays flickered with information in dozens of alien languages. It was a far cry from the retrofitted human bases back on Earth. They reached a nondescript building, and Zrak pushed open the door. Inside, a diverse group of aliens lounged in what appeared to be a common area. Conversations died down as all eyes turned to Sarah. "Listen up, you lot," Zrak bellowed. "This is our new human recruit, Lieutenant Chen. Try not to break her on the first day." A lanky, avian-like alien with iridescent feathers stepped forward. "Welcome aboard, Lieutenant. I'm Krelox, communications specialist." His head tilted curiously. "I've never worked with a human before. Are the stories true? That your kind can survive extreme conditions that would kill most species?" Before Sarah could respond, a stocky, reptilian alien snorted derisively. "Please, Kree, don't tell me you believe those tall tales. Humans are soft, fragile creatures. No offense, new blood," he added, glancing at Sarah. "I assure you, we're tougher than we look," Sarah replied coolly. "And you are?" "Sergeant Dawn," the reptilian grunted. "Weapons expert. Hope you can keep up in the field, human." Sarah bit back a sharp retort. She knew she'd have to prove herself, but the dismissive attitude was already grating on her nerves. A melodious voice chimed in. Now, let's not judge too quickly." A willowy, almost translucent alien glided forward. "I'm Lyra, the team's medic. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sarah." Sarah nodded gratefully at Lyra, appreciating the friendly face among the skeptical crowd. Commander Zrak cleared his throat. "All right, enough chit-chat. Chen, get settled in. We've got a mission briefing in 1 hour. The rest of you, back to your duties." As the aliens dispersed, Sarah made her way to the small bunk assigned to her. She began unpacking her meager belongings, all too aware of the curious glances and whispered conversations around her. A sudden commotion outside caught everyone's attention. Sarah rushed to the window, her eyes widening at the sight. A massive warship was descending through the atmosphere, its hull bearing scorch marks and signs of recent battle. "By the stars," Krelox whispered, coming up beside her. "That's the flagship of the Arcturian fleet. What's it doing here?" Dawn's gruff voice answered from across the room. "Nothing good, I'd wager. Looks like they took a beating." An alarm blared throughout the complex, and Commander Zrek's voice boomed over the intercom. All personnel, report to the main briefing room immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Sarah's heart raced as she fell in line with her new squad mates, heading towards the briefing room. Whatever was happening, it was clear that her first day was about to become far more eventful than she'd anticipated. As they entered the cavernous briefing room, holographic displays flickered to life, showing tactical readouts and damage reports. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. Commander Zrak stepped onto the central platform, his face grim. "Listen up, everyone. We've got a situation. The Arcturian flagship barely escaped an ambush in the Omega sector. They've brought warnings of a new threat, one that could endanger the entire galaxy." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She'd trained for years for moments like this, but the reality of facing an unknown galactic threat was daunting. As she glanced around at her alien comrades, she saw a mixture of fear and determination in their eyes. Zrak continued, his voice resolute. "The 47th Interspecies Rapid Response Unit has been tasked with a critical reconnaissance mission. We need to gather intelligence on this new enemy and report back. This could be the most important mission of your lives." He paused, his four eyes scanning the room before landing on Sarah. "Lieutenant Chen, looks like you'll be getting a baptism by fire. I hope you're ready to show us what humans are truly capable of." Sarah stood tall, her voice unwavering as she replied, "Ready and willing, Commander. Whatever it takes to protect the galaxy." A murmur of surprise rippled through the alien soldiers. Perhaps they thought there was more to this human than met the eye. As the briefing continued, detailing the dangerous mission ahead, Sarah knew that her time to prove herself had come sooner than expected. The fate of the galaxy might just rest in the hands of this diverse group of aliens, and one determined human. The sleek contours of the stealth ship Shadow Dancer cut silently through the inky blackness of space. Inside the cramped cockpit, Sarah Chen sat rigid in her seat, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula ahead. The mission had seemed straightforward during the briefing, but now, on the edge of uncharted space, the weight of their task poured down on her. Entering the Crimson Nebula, Krelox announced from the pilot's seat, his feathers ruffling with nervous energy. "Sensors are already going haywire. Whatever's out there, it's playing havoc with our equipment." Dawn grunted from his weapons station. "Perfect. Flying blind into unknown enemy territory. Just how I like to spend my downtime." "Cut the chatter," Commander Zrak ordered, his four arms busy at various consoles. "Stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with here." Sarah's mind raced, recalling her training. Humans might be newcomers to the galactic stage, but they had centuries of experience dealing with the unexpected. "Commander," she spoke up, "permission to run a low-frequency scan. It might penetrate the interference better than our standard sensors." Zrak turned all four eyes on her, considering. "Do it, but keep the power low. We don't want to announce our presence." Sarah's fingers flew over her console, initiating the scan. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, a faint blip appeared on the edge of their sensor range. "Contact," Sarah announced, her voice tight. "Bearing 047, distance, impossible to determine accurately. But it's big." "Define big," Lyra asked, her translucent form shimmering with concern. Before Sarah could respond, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared as systems throughout the Shadow Dancer went haywire. "We're caught in some kind of energy field," Krelox screeched, fighting with the controls. "Engines are offline." "Weapons non-responsive," Dawn reported, a note of fear creeping into his usually gruff voice. Sarah's mind raced. The situation was deteriorating rapidly, and standard protocols weren't going to cut it. She closed her eyes, focusing on a technique she'd learned during her specialized training back on Earth. "Lieutenant Chen, what are you doing?" Zrak demanded. "This is no time for meditation." Sarah's eyes snapped open. "Sir, I think I can get us out of this, but I need direct access to the ship's power core." "Absolutely not," Dawn objected. "You'll blow us all to atoms." "We don't have a choice," Sarah insisted. "Trust me." Drac hesitated for a split second, then nodded. "Do it. But if you kill us all, I'll haunt your ghost for eternity." Sarah sprinted to the engine room, her heart pounding. The ship's power core hummed ominously, tendrils of strange energy crackling around it. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hands on the core's surface. Pain lanced through her body as she connected with the ship's systems on a level far deeper than any interface. In her mind's eye, she could see the energy field ensnaring them, pulsing with an alien intelligence. With a mix of instinct and training, Sarah began to manipulate the ship's energy output, creating a counter-frequency to the hostile field. It was like trying to untie a knot while wearing oven mitts, but slowly, painstakingly, she felt the shadow dancer begin to break free. On the bridge, the alien crew watched in amazement as systems began to come back online. The oppressive energy field weakened, then dissipated entirely. "By the cosmic egg," Krelox whispered. "She did it." Sarah staggered back onto the bridge, her face pale and drawn. "We're clear," she managed to say before collapsing into her chair. Zrak stared at her, a mix of confusion and respect in his eyes. "What in the name of all stars was that, Lieutenant?" Before Sarah could answer, a massive shape loomed in the view screen. It was like nothing any of them had ever seen, a living ship, organic yet mechanical, pulsing with the same strange energy that had ensnared them. "First contact," Sarah murmured, her voice filled with awe and trepidation. The alien vessel hung there for a moment, as if regarding them. Then, without warning, it unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. "Evasive maneuvers," Drac roared. Krelox sent the shadow dancer into a series of wild spins and dives, narrowly avoiding the onslaught. Dawn, finally able to access his weapons, returned fire, but their shots seemed to be absorbed by the strange hull of the enemy's ship. "Our weapons are useless," Dawn growled in frustration. Sarah's mind raced. The alien ship's technology was far beyond anything they'd encountered, but there had to be a weakness. She focused again, reaching out with her senses in a way that made her alien comrades exchange worried glances. "There," she suddenly exclaimed. "That pulsing node near what looks like that engine core. It's emitting the same frequency as the field that trapped us. If we can overload it." Drac didn't hesitate. "Dawn, target that spot with everything we've got. Krelox, get us in close." The shadow dancer dove towards the massive alien vessel, weaving through a storm of energy blasts. Dawn unleashed a concentrated barrage on the spot Sarah had indicated. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, a cascade of explosions rippled across the alien ship's surface. It writhed like a wounded animal, tendrils of energy lashing out wildly. "Get us out of here," Shrek ordered. Krelox needed no encouragement, pushing the engines to their limit as they fled the expanding field of debris. Behind them, the alien vessel collapsed in on itself, vanishing in a flash of otherworldly light. As the shadow dancer sped back towards friendly space, an uneasy silence fell over the bridge. Finally, Dawn spoke, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "I've never seen anything like that in all my years of service. What are we dealing with here?" Sarah shook her head, her mind still reeling from the encounter. "I don't know. But whatever it is, it's unlike anything the galaxy has faced before." Srak turned to Sarah, his expression unreadable. "And you, Lieutenant, it seems there's more to you, and to humans, than meets the eye. I think it's time you told us exactly what you can do, and why you were really sent here." Sarah met his gaze steadily. She knew this moment would come eventually, but she hadn't expected it so soon. As the eyes of her alien comrades bored into her, she took a deep breath, preparing to reveal secrets that could change the course of the war and the galaxy forever. "It's a long story," she began, "and it starts long before I was born, on a planet called Earth. Pain lanced through her body as she connected with the ship's systems on a level far deeper than any interface. In her mind's eye, she could see the energy field ensnaring them, pulsing with an alien intelligence. With a mix of instinct and training, Sarah began to manipulate the ship's energy output, creating a counter-frequency to the hostile field. It was like trying to untie a knot while wearing oven mitts, but slowly, painstakingly, she felt the shadow dancer begin to break free. On the bridge, the alien crew watched in amazement as systems began to come back online. The oppressive energy field weakened, then dissipated entirely. "By the cosmic egg," Prelox whispered. "She did it." Sarah staggered back onto the bridge, her face pale and drawn. "We're clear," she managed to say before collapsing into her chair. Zrak stared at her, a mix of confusion and respect in his eyes. What in the name of all stars was that, Lieutenant? Before Sarah could answer, a massive shape loomed in the view screen. It was like nothing any of them had ever seen, a living ship, organic yet mechanical, pulsing with the same strange energy that had ensnared them. "First contact," Sarah murmured, her voice filled with awe and trepidation. The alien vessel hung there for a moment, as if regarding them. Then, without warning, it unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. Evasive maneuvers, Drak roared. Prelox sent the Shadow Dancer into a series of wild spins and dives, narrowly avoiding the onslaught. Dawn, finally able to access his weapons, returned fire, but their shots seemed to be absorbed by the strange hold of the enemy's ship. "Our weapons are useless," Dawn growled in frustration. Sarah's mind raced. The alien ship's technology was far beyond anything they'd encountered, but there had to be a weakness. She focused again, reaching out with her senses in a way that made her alien comrades exchange worried glances. "There," she suddenly exclaimed. "That pulsing node near what looks like that engine core. It's emitting the same frequency as the field that trapped us. If we can overload it." Drak didn't hesitate. "Dawn, target that spot with everything we've got. Prelox, get us in close." The Shadow Dancer dove towards the massive alien vessel, weaving through a storm of energy blasts. Dawn unleashed a concentrated barrage on the spot Sarah had indicated. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, a cascade of explosions rippled across the alien ship's surface. It writhed like a wounded animal, tendrils of energy lashing out wildly. "Get us out of here," Drake ordered. Prelox needed no encouragement, pushing the engines to their limit as they fled the expanding field of debris. Behind them, the alien vessel collapsed in on itself, vanishing in a flash of otherworldly light. As the Shadow Dancer sped back towards friendly space, an uneasy silence fell over the bridge. Finally, Dawn spoke, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. "I've never seen anything like that in all my years of service. What are we dealing with here?" Sarah shook her head, her mind still reeling from the encounter. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's unlike anything the galaxy has faced before." Zrak turned to Sarah, his expression unreadable. "And you, Lieutenant, it seems there's more to you, and to humans, than meets the eye. I think it's time you told us exactly what you can do, and why you were really sent here." Sarah met his gaze steadily. She knew this moment would come eventually, but she hadn't expected it so soon. As the eyes of her alien comrades bored into her, she took a deep breath, preparing to reveal secrets that could change the course of the war, and the galaxy, forever. "It's a long story," she began, "and it starts long before I was born, on a planet called the Hidden Gift." The tension in the Shadow Dancer's briefing room was palpable as Sarah Chen stood before her alien comrades. Their recent brush with the unknown enemy had shaken them all, but the revelation of Sarah's hidden abilities had brought a new layer of complexity to their mission. "Earth has always been different," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "For centuries, we thought we were alone in the universe. We developed in isolation, pushing the boundaries of what was possible for our species." Commander Zrak leaned forward, his four eyes narrowed. Get to the point, Lieutenant. What makes humans so special? Sarah took a deep breath. It's not all humans, just a small percentage of us. We call it the Nexus gene. It allows us to interface with technology on a level that goes beyond simple user interaction. We can feel it, manipulate it, sometimes even control it with our minds. A murmur ran through the alien crew. Dawn scoffed, that's impossible. No organic being can directly interface with machines like that. And yet, Krelox interjected, his feathers ruffling with excitement. We all saw what she did with the ship's core. It shouldn't have been possible, but... Lyra, the team's medic, stepped forward. Her translucent form shimmered with curiosity. This Nexus gene, is it the result of genetic engineering? Sarah shook her head. Natural evolution, as far as we know. Theory is it developed as a survival mechanism during Earth's tumultuous history. Wars, natural disasters, rapid technological advancement, it all created pressure for humans to adapt. And the Galactic Council knows about this, Drac demanded. They do, Sarah confirmed. It's why humans were finally allowed to join the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. They hoped we might have an edge against emerging threats. Threats like what we just encountered. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally Dawn spoke, his voice gruff, but lacking its usual derision. So, you're some kind of human superweapon. Sarah smiled wryly. Hardly. The Nexus gene is rare, and even among those who have it, the abilities vary widely. I'm good with ships and basic systems, but I'm no miracle worker. Zrak stood, pacing the small room. This changes things. If what we encountered out there is as advanced as it seemed, your abilities could be crucial to understanding and combating it. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Krelox rushed to a console, his feathers standing on end. Multiple contacts approaching fast. They matched the energy signature of the ship we destroyed. Battle stations, Zrak roared. The crew scrambled to their positions as the shadow dancer rocked from the first volley of enemy fire. Sarah sprinted to her station, her mind already reaching out to connect with the ship's systems. As her consciousness merged with the shadow dancer, she gasped. The enemy ships weren't just attacking. They were probing, searching for weaknesses with an almost organic intelligence. They're learning from each attack, she called out. Standard evasive maneuvers won't work for long. Dawn growled in frustration as his return fire seemed to have little effect. We need a new strategy fast. Sarah's mind raced. The alien ships were incredibly advanced, but they still operated on principles of energy and data. If she could just find the right frequency. Commander, she said, her voice strained with concentration, I have an idea, but it's risky. I need direct access to our communication array. Zrak hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Do it. We're out of options. Sarah closed her eyes, diving deeper into the ship's systems than she ever had before. She could feel the alien vessels, their strange energies pulsing around the shadow dancer. With a mental push, she began broadcasting on all frequencies, sending out a chaotic jumble of data. The effect was immediate. The enemy ships faltered, their coordinated attack falling into disarray. It's working, Krelox exclaimed. Their formations are breaking up. But Sarah wasn't finished. Pushing herself to the limit, she began to sift through the cacophony of data flowing between the alien ships. There, hidden in the noise, she found what she was looking for, a pattern, a key to their communication. With the last of her strength, Sarah sent out a final burst of energy, a virus, crafted from the very code the enemy used to coordinate their attacks. The results were spectacular. The alien ships began to fire on each other, their systems thrown into chaos by Sarah's digital assault. In minutes, the threat had neutralized itself, leaving the shadow dancer battered but victorious in a field of drifting debris. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Sarah felt herself slipping from consciousness. The last thing she heard before darkness took her was Lyra's concerned voice. Her neural patterns are off the charts. We need to get her to medical now. Sarah drifted in and out of awareness, catching snippets of conversation around her. Never seen anything like it. Could change the course of the war, but at what cost to her? When she finally opened her eyes, she found herself in the medical bay, surrounded by her alien crewmates. Their expressions were a mix of concern, awe, and something new, respect. Zrak stepped forward, his usual gruff demeanor softened. "You saved us all, Lieutenant, but I need to know, can you do that again?" Sarah sat up slowly, her head pounding. I think so, but I'll need practice. What I did out there, it was mostly instinct. If I can refine it, learn to control it better. Krelox chirped excitedly. Think of the possibilities. We could turn their own technology against them. But Lara interjected, her voice filled with worry. The strain on her system was immense. We need to be careful, or we could lose our greatest asset and a valued comrade. Dawn, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally spoke. "I owe you an apology, human. I underestimated you, and your species. Whatever this threat is, I'm glad you're on our side." Sarah managed a smile, touched by the unexpected show of camaraderie. "We're all in this together now. Human, Chronon, avian, or whatever else. We're facing something that threatens all of us." Zrak nodded sullenly. "Agreed. And now, thanks to you, we have our first real advantage. Rest up, Lieutenant. As soon as you're able, we need to report back to headquarters. The galaxy needs to know what we're up against, and what humanity brings to the fight." As her teammates filed out, leaving her to rest, Sarah stared out the viewport at the stars beyond. She had joined this mission expecting to prove herself, to show that humans could stand alongside the other species of the galaxy. Instead, she had uncovered a gift that could change the course of history. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and the weight of responsibility. But as Sarah drifted off to sleep, she felt a glimmer of hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, a united front against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. The hidden gift. The debriefing room at Galactic Peacekeeping Force headquarters buzzed with tension. Holographic displays flickered with images of the alien vessels, their strange, organic mechanical forms rotating slowly in the air. Sarah Chen stood at attention, acutely aware of the diverse array of alien dignitaries and military leaders scrutinizing her every move. Commander Zrak concluded his report, his forearms gesticulating for emphasis. And thanks to Lieutenant Chen's unprecedented abilities, we not only survived the encounter, but gathered crucial intelligence on this new threat. A tall, willowy alien with crystalline skin that sparkled under the room's lights leaned forward. "This is most disturbing news, Commander. And Usagus human was able to interface directly with both our systems and the enemy's." Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Yes, Counselor. Through the Nexus gene, I was able to create a temporary bridge between our technology and theirs." Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens. Some sounded impressed, others suspicious. A bulbous, gelatinous being pulsed with agitation. "And we're just learning of this human ability now. How do we know they haven't been manipulating our systems all along?" "Counselor Zilith," Zrak interjected, "I can assure you that Lieutenant Chen's actions were instrumental in saving not just our team, but potentially providing us with the key to combating this new threat." The crystalline alien raised a hand for silence. "Regardless of past secrecy, we must focus on the present danger. Lieutenant Chen, are there others like you who could assist in this crisis?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, Counselor, but the Nexus gene manifests differently in each individual. Some have an affinity for medical technology, others for weapons systems. I specialize in ship interfaces and data systems. Then we must bring more of your kind into our ranks immediately," a reptilian general hissed. "We need every advantage against these biomechanical invaders." As the council debated, Sarah felt a strange tingling at the base of her skull. She blinked, trying to focus, but the sensation grew stronger. Suddenly, the room's holographic displays flickered and distorted. "What's happening?" someone shouted. Sarah allowed herself a small smile of triumph, but she knew the battle was far from over. The alien ships might be disoriented, but they were still devastatingly powerful. As she prepared to dive back into the fray, a searing pain lanced through her head. Sarah cried out, her connection to the ship's systems fluctuating wildly. "Lieutenant," Lara's concerned voice came from nearby. "Your neural patterns are destabilizing. You need to disconnect." But Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing through the pain. "Not yet," she gasped. "They're adapting. I need to hold them off." The battle became a blur of digital conflict and physical chaos. Sarah dueled with the alien intelligence, each small victory bought with searing agony. She could feel her strength fading, her grip on reality becoming tenuous. Just when she thought she couldn't hold on any longer, she felt it. A shift in the alien presence. They were retreating, their hive mind in disarray. With the last of her strength, Sarah sent out a final barrage of computer code, targeting the weaknesses she had discovered in the enemy's defenses. As the alien fleet began to withdraw in earnest, Sarah finally allowed herself to let go. She slumped in her chair, dimly aware of voices shouting around her and hands lifting her gently. "Need immediate medical attention." Never seen readings like this. Could have fried her brain. The voices faded as darkness claimed her. Sarah's last conscious thought was a mixture of triumph and trepidation. They had won this battle, but at what cost? And what new challenges would tomorrow bring? As the medical team rushed Sarah to the infirmary, the bridge crew of the Celestial Hammer stared at the retreating alien fleet in stunned silence. They had faced annihilation and emerged victorious, thanks to the hidden gift of a species they had once underestimated. Commander Zrak turned to Krelox, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "Send word to Earth. Tell them we need more like her. And pray to whatever gods they have that it will be enough for what's coming." The avian nodded solemnly, his feathers ruffling with a mix of excitement and fear. As he turned to carry out the order, he couldn't help but wonder, had they just witnessed the turning point in this war, or merely the opening salvo of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy forever? In the infirmary, machines beeped steadily as they monitored Sarah's vital signs. Her body was still, but her mind raced with fragmented images, alien code, shattered fleets, and a looming threat that seemed to stretch across the stars. Whatever came next, Sarah Chen and her fellow humans would be at the heart of it, their hidden gift now the galaxy's greatest hope. Sarah's eyes widened as she realized what was occurring. "It's them," she gasped. "They found us. They're trying to breach our systems." Without thinking, Sarah reached out with her mind, connecting to the station's mainframe. She could feel the alien presence, probing, searching for weaknesses. It was vastly more powerful than anything she'd encountered before. "Lieutenant, what are you doing?" Zrak demanded, but his voice seemed distant as Sarah immersed herself deeper into the digital realm. In her mind's eye, Sarah saw the station's defenses as a glowing shield, and the alien intrusion as a writhing mass of tentacles, each one trying to slip through the cracks. She threw herself into the battle, patching vulnerabilities and repelling attacks with every ounce of her strength. But it wasn't enough. The alien presence was overwhelming, its assault relentless. Sarah felt herself being pushed back, her defenses crumbling. Just as she was about to be overwhelmed, something unexpected happened. She felt other presences joining her in the digital space, minds similar to her own, but each with its unique signature. The other Nexus gene carriers on the station had sensed the attack and joined the fight. Together, they formed a united front against the invasion. Sarah marveled at the abilities of her fellow humans. One expertly shored up the station's power systems, another bolstered the communication arrays, while a third deftly maneuvered defensive satellites into position. With their combined strength, they began to push back against the alien intrusion. Sarah focused her efforts on tracing the attack to its source, following the tendrils of alien code back through subspace. Suddenly, she gasped, her eyes flying open in the physical world. "They're here," she panted, sweat beading on her forehead. A fleet, massive, on the edge of the system. The room erupted into chaos as alarms blared. Through the viewport, Sarah saw the first flashes of weapons fire in the distance. The invasion had begun. "All personnel to battle stations," the reptilian general roared. "This is not a drill." As the council members rushed to their respective posts, Commander Zrak grabbed Sarah's arm. "Chen, I need you on the flagship. Your abilities could make the difference between victory and annihilation." Sarah nodded, her mind already reaching out to the ship systems. As they raced through the corridors, she marveled at how quickly everything had changed. Just days ago, she had been an outsider, distrusted and underestimated. Now, she was being thrust into the heart of the biggest battle the galaxy had ever seen. They burst onto the bridge of the flagship Celestial Hammer, a massive vessel that dwarfed the Shadow Dancer. Sarah immediately plugged herself into the ship's systems, gasping at the raw power at her fingertips. Through the ship's sensors, she could see the full scope of the battle unfolding. The alien fleet was vast, its ships moving with an unsettling, organic fluidity. But the galactic peacekeeping force was rallying, ships of all shapes and sizes forming up to meet the threat. "Lieutenant," Zrak's voice cut through her digital immersion, "we need tactical advantages. What can you give us?" Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. Their ships, they're not just similar. They're connected, like a hive mind. If we can disrupt that connection... She didn't finish the sentence. Instead, she plunged deeper into the ship's systems, crafting a virus that would target the alien fleet's shared consciousness. It was delicate work, requiring a level of precision she had never attempted before. As Sarah worked, the battle raged around them. The Celestial Hammer shook with impacts, its shields straining under the assault. Through glimpses of the tactical display, she saw allied ships falling to the relentless alien attack. "Whatever you're doing, Chen, do it fast." Zrak shouted as another blast rocked the ship. With a final push of mental effort, Sarah unleashed her creation. The virus shot out through the Celestial Hammer's communication array, spreading rapidly through the enemy fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to falter. Their perfect formation broke apart as confusion spread through their ranks. "It's working." Krelox crowed from his station. "Their attack patterns are degrading." Sarah allowed herself a small smile of triumph, but she knew the battle was far from over. The alien ships might be disoriented, but they were still devastatingly powerful. As she prepared to dive back into the fray, a searing pain lanced through her head. Sarah cried out, her connection to the ship's systems fluctuating wildly. "Lieutenant," Lyra's concerned voice came from nearby. "Your neural patterns are destabilizing. You need to disconnect." But Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing through the pain. "Not yet," she gasped. "They're adapting. I need to hold them off." The battle became a blur of digital conflict and physical chaos. Sarah dueled with the alien intelligence, each small victory bought with searing agony. She could feel her strength fading, her grit on reality becoming tenuous. Just when she thought she couldn't hold on any longer, she felt it, a shift in the alien presence. They were retreating, their hive mind in disarray. With the last of her strength, Sarah sent out a final barrage of computer code, targeting the weaknesses she had discovered in the enemy's defenses. As the alien fleet began to withdraw in earnest, Sarah finally allowed herself to let go. She slumped in her chair, dimly aware of voices shouting around her and hands lifting her gently. "Need immediate medical attention." Never seen readings like this. Could have fried her brain. The voices faded as darkness claimed her. Sarah's last conscious thought was a mixture of triumph and trepidation. They had won this battle, but at what cost? And what new challenges would tomorrow bring? As the medical team rushed Sarah to the infirmary, the bridge crew of the Celestial Hammer stared at the retreating alien fleet in stunned silence. They had faced annihilation and emerged victorious, thanks to the hidden gift of a species they had once underestimated. Commander Zrak turned to Krelox, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "Send word to Earth. Tell them we need more like her. And pray to whatever gods they have that it will be enough for what's coming." The avian nodded solemnly, his feathers ruffling with a mix of excitement and fear. As he turned to carry out the order, he couldn't help but wonder, had they just witnessed the turning point in this war, or merely the opening salvo of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy forever? In the infirmary, machines beat steadily as they monitored Sarah's vital signs. Her body was still, but her mind raced with fragmented images, alien code, shattered fleets, and a looming threat that seemed to stretch across the stars. Whatever came next, Sarah Chen and her fellow humans would be a turning the tide. The soft hum of medical equipment filled the air as Sarah Chen slowly opened her eyes. The sterile white ceiling of the infirmary came into focus, along with the concerned face of Lyra hovering nearby. "Welcome back, Lieutenant," the translucent alien said softly. "You've been unconscious for 3 days." Sarah tried to sit up, but a wave of dizziness forced her back down. The battle, what happened? "We won, thanks to you," Lyra replied, her form shimmering with what Sarah had come to recognize as excitement. The alien fleet retreated, but they'll be back, and in greater numbers. Before Sarah could respond, the infirmary door slid open. Commander Zrak entered, followed by a human she didn't recognize, a tall, silver-haired woman with piercing blue eyes. "Lieutenant Chen," Zrak said, his gruff voice tinged with respect. "Allow me to introduce Admiral Helena Frost of the Earth Defense Force. She's here to oversee our new joint operation." Admiral Frost stepped forward, her gaze appraising. "Lieutenant, your actions saved countless lives and gave us our first real advantage in this war. But I need to know, are you ready to do it again?" Sarah met the Admiral's eyes, sensing the weight of expectation behind them. "I am, Admiral, but I can't do it alone. The strain is precisely why I'm here," Frost finished. "Earth has sent its best Nexus gene carriers to join the fight. We're going to form specialized strike teams, with you as the prototype." Zrak nodded, his 4 arms crossed. "The Galactic Council has agreed to integrate human operatives into key positions throughout our fleet. It's unprecedented, but these are unprecedented times." Sarah's mind reeled with the implications. A strike team. What exactly did you have in mind? Admiral Frost's lips curved into a small smile. "Something the enemy won't see coming. We're calling it Operation Synapsis." Over the next few weeks, as Sarah recovered and regained her strength, Operation Synapsis took shape. A specially modified ship, the ESS Neuron, became their mobile base of operations. It was a marvel of human and alien engineering, designed to amplify and focus the abilities of its Nexus gene crew. Sarah found herself working alongside other gifted humans, each with their own unique talents. There was Marcus Reeves, a weapons systems prodigy who could calculate firing solutions faster than any computer. Dr. Amelia Zhao, whose affinity for medical technology bordered on the miraculous. And Jamal Carter, a master of stealth systems and electronic warfare. Together, they trained relentlessly, pushing the boundaries of their abilities and learning to work as a seamlessly integrated unit. The alien members of their team, Zrak, Krelox, Lyra, and even the once skeptical Dawn, marveled at the humans' growing prowess. But time was not on their side. Reports of alien incursions grew more frequent, with entire star systems going dark at an alarming rate. Finally, after a month of intensive preparation, Admiral Frost called them to the Neurons Bridge for a mission briefing. "We've detected a significant alien presence in the Epsilon Eridani system," she began, her voice grave. "Intelligence suggests they're constructing some kind of superweapon. Your mission is to infiltrate their installation, gather intel, and if possible, sabotage their efforts." Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and dread as she absorbed the details of the mission. This would be their first real test as a team, a chance to prove that Operation Synapsis could turn the tide of the war. As the Neuron dropped out of hyperspace on the edge of the Epsilon Eridani system, Sarah linked her mind with the ship's systems. Through its sensors, she could feel the alien presence, a vast, pulsing network of biomechanical constructs that made her skin crawl. "They've detected us," she announced, her voice strained with concentration, activating stealth protocols. Jamal closed his eyes, interfacing with the ship's cloaking technology. "Bending light and electromagnetic emissions around us. We're ghosts." The Neuron slipped silently past the outer defenses of the alien installation, a massive structure that looked like a cross between a living organism and a space station. As they drew closer, Sarah gasped at the sheer scale of it. "That's no superweapon," Zrak growled. "It's a gateway. They're trying to bring reinforcements from wherever they come from." "Then we shut it down," Sarah said firmly. "Prepare for insertion." The next few hours were a blur of tense action. The human-alien strike team moved through the installation like shadows, their Nexus gene abilities allowing them to manipulate enemy systems and avoid detection. Sarah found herself pushing her powers to new limits, interfacing with the alien technology in ways she never thought possible. She could feel the strange, almost organic nature of their systems, pulsing with an intelligence that was both fascinating and terrifying. As they fought their way to the heart of the installation, Sarah made a startling discovery. "This gateway," she said, her voice filled with awe, "it's not just bringing reinforcements. It's rewriting the laws of physics in localized space. That's how their ships move the way they do, how they manipulate energy." "Can you shut it down?" Admiral Frost's voice crackled over the comm. Sarah bit her lip, considering. "Not from here. But I think I can reverse it. Turn their own gateway against them." "Do it," Frost ordered. Sarah took a deep breath, then plunged her consciousness deep into the alien systems. It was like diving into an ocean of liquid mathematics, where the very fabric of reality was malleable. She could feel the others supporting her, Marcus reinforcing their defenses, Amelia monitoring their vital signs, Jamal running interference against enemy countermeasures. With a Herculean effort of will, Sarah began to twist the alien algorithms, rewriting their purpose. The gateway's energy began to fluctuate wildly, its swirling vortex of otherworldly light changing color and direction. Alarms blared throughout the installation as the aliens realized what was happening. Energy beams lanced out, barely deflected by the team's combined efforts. "Whatever you're doing, do it faster," Drax shouted as he returned fire, his 4 arms wielding weapons with deadly precision. Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing herself to the limit. She could feel the gateway's immense power straining against her control, threatening to tear her mind apart. But she held on, guided by an instinct she couldn't explain. Suddenly, with a sound like reality itself tearing, the gateway inverted. A massive shockwave of energy exploded outward, vaporizing the nearest alien ships and structures. The Neuron rocked violently, its shields barely holding. As the energy dissipated, Sarah opened her eyes, panting heavily. Through the viewport, she saw the impossible. The alien fleet was being pulled back through the gateway, their ships disintegrating as they passed through the twisted vortex. "You did it," Krelox whispered in awe. "You turned their own technology against them." But Sarah shook her head, her expression grim. "Not just their ships. I felt. This gateway doesn't just bridge space, it bridges time. We didn't just send them back, we erased them from this timeline." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. They had achieved a monumental victory, but at what cost? And what new paradoxes had they introduced into the universe? As the Neuron limped back towards friendly space, Sarah stared out at the stars, lost in thought. They had turned the tide of the war, but she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger, more complex conflict, one that would challenge not just their strength and technology, but the very nature of reality itself. Admiral Frost's voice cut through her reverie. "Excellent work, team. But don't celebrate just yet. This victory has changed the playing field in ways we can't yet comprehend. Whatever comes next, I have a feeling it's going to make our previous battles look like a warm-up." Sarah nodded, a mixture of determination and trepidation filling her. As she looked around at her human and avian comrades, she saw the same emotions reflected in their eyes. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. A united front against the unknown, the heart of it, the hidden gift now the galaxy's greatest hope. Revelations. The ESS Neuron drifted in high orbit around Earth, its hull still bearing scars from the battle at Epsilon Eridani. On the observation deck, Sarah Chen stood silently, gazing down at the blue-green orb of her home world. The events of the past few weeks weighed heavily on her mind. "Credit for your thoughts, Lieutenant." The voice of Admiral Frost broke through Sarah's reverie. Sarah turned to face her superior officer, noticing the deep lines of fatigue etched on the older woman's face. "Just thinking about how much has changed, Admiral. A month ago, I was trying to prove that humans belonged out here. Now you've altered the course of galactic history," Frost finished. Her tone was neither congratulatory nor accusatory, merely stating a fact. Before Sarah could respond, a holographic display flickered to life between them. The concerned face of Zrak appeared, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in what Sarah had come to recognize as a sign of agitation. "Admiral, Lieutenant, you need to see this," the Chronom commander said urgently. "We're picking up massive temporal distortions across multiple sectors." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "The gateway, it's having wider effects than we anticipated." Admiral Frost's expression hardened. "Assemble the team. We need to understand what we're dealing with." Minutes later, the core members of Operation Synapsis gathered in the Neuron's briefing room. Holographic displays showed swirling vortexes of temporal energy spreading across star charts. Dr. Amelia Zao, her eyes glowing faintly as she interfaced with the ship's medical systems, spoke first. "The temporal distortions are causing physiological changes in various species. Evolution accelerated in some areas, reversed in others. It's chaos." Jamal Carter, his dark skin contrasting with the ethereal glow of the stealth systems he was linked to, added, "Our comm networks are going haywire. I'm picking up transmissions from the past, the future, maybe even alternate timelines." Marcus Reeves, usually cocky and self-assured, looked shaken. "Weapons platforms across the galaxy are activating on their own, targeting threats that don't exist, or maybe haven't happened yet." Sarah closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind to touch the chaotic data streams flowing through the ship. What she sensed made her gasp. "It's not just random distortions," she said, her voice filled with awe and terror. "There's a pattern, a purpose. It's like the universe itself is trying to reboot." Admiral Frost's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Sarah struggled to put into words the vast, interconnected web of cause and effect she was sensing. "When we reversed the gateway, we didn't just send the aliens back in time. We created a paradox. Now reality is trying to resolve it, searching for a stable configuration." Drac leaned forward, his massive frame tense. "Are you saying we broke the universe, human?" "Not broke," Sarah said slowly. "More like we initiated a cosmic debug sequence. And I think I know why the aliens came here in the first place." All eyes turned to her as Sarah took a deep breath. They weren't invaders. They were refugees, fleeing the collapse of their own timeline. They came here to save themselves, not realizing that their very presence was causing the instability they were trying to escape. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. They had not won a war. They had unwittingly participated in a tragedy of cosmic proportions. Admiral Frost was the first to speak. "If what you're saying is true, Lieutenant, then we have a responsibility to fix this. But how?" Sarah's mind raced through possibilities, drawing on both her Nexus gene abilities and her human intuition. We need to stabilize the timeline, create a bridge between what was, what is, and what could be. That's impossible, Marcus scoffed, but there was a hint of desperation in his voice. No, Jamal said slowly, his eyes lighting up with understanding. Not impossible, just incredibly dangerous and completely insane. Sarah nodded. We use the neuron. With our combined abilities, we can turn this ship into a temporal anchor. We navigate the time stream, find the point of divergence, and reset. Reset? Zrak growled. You mean erase everything that's happened? All the lives lost, the battles won. Not erase, Sarah said firmly. Integrate. We take the knowledge, the growth, the understanding we've gained and weave it into the new timeline. We give ourselves, all of us, humans, aliens, even our former enemies, a chance to make different choices. Admiral Frost studied Sarah intently. You're talking about rewriting history on a galactic scale. The ethical implications alone are staggering, Sarah agreed. But the alternative is watching reality tear itself apart. We have to try. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, one by one, they nodded. Whatever the cost, whatever the risk, they have to act. The next few hours were a blur of frenzy preparation. The neuron systems were pushed to their limits and beyond, modified to channel the vast energies they would need to navigate the turbulent time stream. As the final preparations were made, Sarah stood at the heart of the ship, surrounded by her teammates. Each of them was linked to a crucial system, Jamal to stealth and navigation, Marcus to weapons and shields, Amelia to life support and medical, Zrak, Krelox, Lyra, and Dawn manned auxiliary stations, their unique alien physiologies providing additional stability to the temporal fields. Admiral Frost's voice came over the comm, strong and clear. Remember, your mission is to find the point of divergence and create a stable loop. You carry with you the hopes of countless civilizations across time and space. Good luck and Godspeed. Sarah took a deep breath, then reached out with her mind. She felt the others join her, their consciousnesses merging into a single unified purpose. The neuron shuddered, its hull groaning as it was enveloped in a cocoon of shimmering energy. With a flash of blinding light and a sound like the birth of a universe, they plunged into the time stream. What followed was beyond description, a journey through the very fabric of reality itself. Sarah saw galaxies born and die in the span of heartbeats, civilizations rise and fall like waves on a cosmic ocean. Through it all, she held onto the thread of their purpose, guiding the neuron towards the nexus point where everything had changed. And then suddenly, they were there. Sarah saw the first encounter between humanity and the alien refugees, the misunderstandings that led to conflict, the escalation that threatened to tear the universe apart. With the last of her strength, Sarah reached out, not to fight or destroy, but to connect. In that moment, she touched the minds of friends and former enemies alike, sharing the knowledge and understanding they had gained. A choice lay before them, a chance to rewrite history, to forge a new path. Sarah felt the weight of infinite possibilities, of countless lives hanging in the balance. With a final, monumental effort, she made the choice. Reality shifted, reformed, settled into a new configuration. The neuron and its crew hung suspended in a moment between moments, witnesses to the birth of a new timeline. As the light faded and the universe stabilized around them, Sarah opened her eyes. The familiar bridge of the neuron greeted her, but something was different. Memories of two timelines overlapped in her mind, one of war and desperation, another of cooperation and shared discovery. She looked around at her teammates, saw the same wonder and confusion in their eyes. They remembered both paths, the one they had lived and the one they had created. Admiral Frost's voice came over the comm, filled with a mix of awe and trepidation. Lieutenant Chen, report. What happened? What did you do? Sarah took a deep breath, trying to sort through the conflicting memories and new realities swirling in her mind. We did it, Admiral, she said softly. We rewrote history, but we kept our humanity and our hope. As the neuron slowly made its way back to Earth, Sarah knew that their greatest challenges still lay ahead. They had been given a second chance, a new beginning. Now it was up to them, humans and aliens alike, to make the most of it. The universe stretched out before them, vast and full of possibility. And for the first time in a long while, Sarah Chen smiled, ready to face whatever came next. Unity in diversity. The Grand Assembly Hall of the newly christened Galactic Concordat buzzed with activity. Representatives from hundreds of worlds, including the once hostile biomechanical beings, now known as the Synthetica, gathered to ratify a treaty that would shape the future of the galaxy. Sarah Chen stood at the podium, her Nexus gene abilities allowing her to interface with the whole systems, translating her words into myriad languages simultaneously. The memories of two timelines still coexisted in her mind, a constant reminder of the journey that had brought them to this moment. Distinguished delegates, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the occasion. We stand at a crossroads of history. In one timeline, we faced extinction through conflict. In another, we chose cooperation. Today, we have the unique opportunity to forge a path that combines the wisdom gained from both. As Sarah spoke, she couldn't help but marvel at the changes wrought by their temporal intervention. The Synthetica, once seen as invaders, were now valued members of the galactic community. Their unique ability to manipulate space-time had led to breakthroughs in faster-than-light travel and communication. Humans, too, had found their place among the stars. The Nexus gene, once a closely guarded secret, was now recognized as a bridge between organic and synthetic life. Schools have been established across the galaxy to train those with the gift, fostering understanding and cooperation between diverse species. Our journey has taught us that strength lies not in uniformity, but in diversity, Sarah continued. Each of us brings unique perspectives and abilities to the table. It is only by embracing these differences that we can hope to face the challenges that lie ahead. As if on cue, a holographic display flickered to life above the assembly. It showed a massive, swirling anomaly at the edge of known space, a reminder that the universe still held many mysteries and potential threats. The Nexus anomaly, as we've come to call it, represents both our greatest challenge and our greatest opportunity, Sarah explained. It's a tear in the fabric of space-time, a window to other realities and dimensions. Our scientists believe it may be the source of the Nexus gene itself. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The implications were staggering. But we cannot explore this phenomenon alone. Sarah pressed on. It will take the combined efforts of all our civilizations to unravel its secrets safely. That is why today's treaty is so crucial. It establishes the framework for a united galactic effort to explore the Nexus anomaly and harness its potential for the benefit of all. As Sarah concluded her speech, she saw familiar faces in the crowd. Serac, now an admiral in the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, nodded approvingly. Creox, heading the new Interspecies Communication Division, trilled softly in agreement. Lyra, her translucent form shimmering with excitement, represented a coalition of medical research institutions. Even Dorm, once skeptical of humans, stood proudly as a liaison between traditional military forces and the new Nexus gene operatives. And there in the front row sat Admiral Helena Frost, her silver hair now streaked with distinguished grey, a small smile playing on her lips. As the assembly erupted into applause, Sarah felt a surge of emotion. They had come so far, overcome so much. Yet she knew that in many ways, their journey was just beginning. The ratification of the treaty was merely the first step. In the months and years that followed, the galaxy saw unprecedented cooperation and advancement. The Neuron, now upgraded and expanded, became the flagship of a joint exploration fleet, probing the mysteries of the Nexus anomaly. Sarah found herself at the forefront of these efforts, her unique abilities making her an ideal bridge between different species and technologies. But more than that, her experiences had given her a perspective few others could match. an understanding of the delicate balance between past, present, and future. One evening, as the neuron prepared for another expedition into the anomaly, Sarah stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the swirling cosmic phenomenon. She felt a presence beside her and turned to see a Synthetica representative, its biomechanical form pulsing gently with internal energy. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" the Synthetica said, its voice a harmonious blend of organic and synthetic tones. "In our original timeline, we saw it as a threat, the harbinger of our doom. Now, thanks to you, we see it as a gateway to infinite possibilities." Sarah smiled, touched by the being's words. "We all played a part in this change. Your people's knowledge has been invaluable in our exploration efforts." The Synthetica's form shimmered in what Sarah had come to recognize as their equivalent of a nod. Perhaps that was the purpose of the Nexus gene all along, not to divide us, but to bring us together. To show us that the boundaries between organic and synthetic, between one species and another, are more fluid than we ever imagined. As if in response to their conversation, the Nexus anomaly flared brightly, sending waves of iridescent energy rippling through space. Alarms blared throughout the ship, and Sarah felt the familiar tingle of her Nexus gene activating. "Looks like we've got another mystery to solve," she said, a hint of excitement in her voice. The Synthetica's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Indeed, shall we face it together, as the united galaxy we have become?" Sarah nodded, already reaching out with her mind to connect with the ship's systems. As the crew, human, alien and synthetic alike, rushed to their stations, she felt a profound sense of rightness. This was what they had fought for, what they had rewritten history to achieve. A future where the boundaries between species blurred, where diversity was celebrated, and where the greatest adventures lay not in conflict, but in exploration and discovery. As the Neuron moved towards the anomaly, its crew united in purpose, Sarah Chen knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them not as separate races, but as a single galactic family. The universe, with all its infinite wonders and possibilities, awaited them. And so, with hope in their hearts and the combined knowledge of two timelines guiding them, they set forth into the unknown, ready to write the next chapter in their grand cosmic adventure.